Hello, I'm Keenan Maxfield. I'm with Green Go Solar Wholesale Distribution, and I'm going to show you today a new product from Victron, the older product, and a way you might want to install this product. So I had this one already set up with these conduits. This is a 200 amp charge controller with a 450 volt input. It's actually got 4 separate inputs, 4 different MPPT trackers. So this unit here, if we take the lid off, you can see the wiring in here. This is wired, you got your battery negative, your battery positive. This all has to all be sized for 200 amps. And then one complaint I've heard about these is that it might be hard to find a 200 amp switch or 200 amp breaker for these, for the input, for the battery side. And so that is what this is for. This box is an example here. This one has not been drilled out. I actually had this set up for display at a conference back in January, but I since then had to remove the box for other reasons. And so what we had was, in this box we had one switch that would simultaneously disconnect all 4 of the maximum power point trackers. So that's an 8-position switch, simultaneously disconnecting positive and negative. So that counts as the code compliant PV system disconnect. It disconnects the positives and the negatives simultaneously and makes that all safe and good. This conduit is just a way that I found to adapt into this. You can remove these glands and drill in here for a conduit, and then that can just go down into our box here. Then on this side I had a 250 amp breaker. I also have up to 500 amps in just switches if that's on a fused circuit. So that was how that was done. So we had a fully legitimate box with all of the disconnects and everything. So this is the model that was out. I had this all set up, and then around January, it was announced that this model is discontinued, and we were moving on to this model here. And this model, the only difference is this has these MC4 connectors coming out. And the idea here is that you can actually plug your PV strings with MC4. It's popular in Europe and globally. Not really a way that we wire things in America, because this necessitates that you have wires in free air. So people are complaining, how are we going to connect conduit to this? I mean, with this one, it's pretty easy. Drill a hole here, drill a hole there. It's all done. It's all in conduit. With this one, how are we going to take care of it? So that's the main emphasis of this video, is to show you how I would personally install this one. And the secret is, I would install it very much the same as this one over here. But this one, the first thing I'm going to notice, the screws that held this cover on were straight down, which meant I needed a longer conduit here in order to get a screwdriver underneath. Obviously that's a long screwdriver. I'd use a shorter screwdriver, but I still needed a longer conduit. With this new model, the screws are higher and they're at an angle, so I can have much shorter conduits. So that's actually a space saving there. And you just take out those 2 screws, and the cover comes right off like that. Now I've already disassembled this far one, so ignore that for now. But you can see that these MC4 connectors go through a little wire onto these terminals. These terminals are completely user serviceable. So you can just take those terminals apart, take the nut off the back, and this comes right out. And so that's just held on in there with a nut. So I would take all of these out, drill myself a hole for a conduit, run my conduit in, and that's easy. Makes it really easy. If I'm going into a gutter, a wire gutter, I might do 2 smaller conduits. If I'm going into a breaker box like this, I might just do 1 larger conduit like I did over there. And makes it easy to have a nice, clean, slick installation. If you want any more tips, leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear your ideas about, if you have any ideas of any questions of how would you install this product or that product, I'd love to answer those.